Hello once again, my friends. Today I am going to be showing you how to animate in Blender. Well, this is a video for absolute beginners, so there is no need to be stressed out about what we're going to do. Just follow my steps carefully and you will be just fine. Also, if you have watched some of my videos of the Synfig tutorial series, I suggest that you do before you start animating in Blender. But anyway, and in case you don't have any experience in the field of animation, but let's just I'm just here to show you how to animate in this particular program. Okay, so in the last two videos we created a Roblox Noob, which is basically a character from a game which is called Roblox. Anyway, and I chose the Noob because it is quite simple to make. Well, in the first video we made this. Well, in the second one we made a smoother Noob because just so it would look a bit more like the actual game character. Okay, so let's start animating. First of all you need to the first thing you need to know is that this is the timeline over here, down here. So extend the timeline, and the timeline tells you when every move is going to be executed. These here are frames, the frame numbers, for example 10 frames, 20 frames, 15 frames, and so on. So with the middle mouse, if I scroll down, it gets a little bit less detailed, so you can see that after a few scrolls it specializes the indication up to 20 frames, a difference of 20 frames, while I usually prefer to have the 10 frame difference. But anyway, so let's start. If I want the noob, for example, to start and stay in his position for 5 frames, I can just left click and then drag and select the entire noob, and then if I hit I, then this menu, the insert keyframe menu, appears. Well, usually we use the location if we just move the character, or the rotation if we rotate it, or the scale if we change its scale. Well, and there are combinations. Okay, so usually more often than just a simple selection than a simple option, we use the location and rotation. Okay, so when I go here to 0 frames and then press play, well, nothing happens, but even if I, for example, go to 20 frames and then select the arm of the noob and raise it, for example, rotate it, and then raise it over here. Okay, and then if I select the entire noob, but this isn't necessary. I could just select the arm and then hit I, but anyway, location and rotation, and then if I hit play, something happens. It's not very normal, because in reality our arm doesn't go back like this. It doesn't anyway, but this is just so I can show you the basic movement. So you can see that in 5 frames it stands still, and then in the space between between 5 and 20 frames the change happens. So within 15 frames from here the arm's position is here and rotation. Okay, so if I wanted to make it look a bit nicer and more natural, I usually do this. I go, for example, over to 10 frames and then move the arm in a quite a natural position, for example this, and then select entire noob, hit I, location, rotation, and then again in 15 frames, for example, and then I, rotation and location. No, wait. Okay, select the entire noob, then location and rotation. Okay, I did the final result does not change, but in the space, in the, let's call it space between these frames and these frames, you can see that it's a more natural movement. This one, look. Okay, and than just doing this. Well, then if I hit delete and delete, no. If I just go here, keyframe, delete keyframes, delete keyframes, well, the move it made is more natural than this one. Okay, so yes, basically that was it. And knowing this, you can do anything you want, from this thing to making karate fights or anything you want, dancing. That's what I did. A noob karate fight was my first Blender animation. Okay, so this was the basics. These were the basics you needed to know about animating in Blender. Well, that's all. That's pretty much all everything actually. So if I go over here, and you can see that there is a line connecting these 3 keyframes, and well, 4. Okay, so this line means that there has been no movement, no rotation in so far between these frames. So if I hit delete in those 2 keyframes, nothing changes, obviously. We're talking about the head because I have selected the head. Okay, so if I want the head to, well, if I want him to shake his head, then I would just take this keyframe, click and drag, and then take it, for example, to 14 frames, and then shake it, and then location rotation for the head. It's not necessary to select the other parts. And then again, for example, in 18 keyframes, look, here's what happens. Okay, so there is absolutely nothing more to animation in Blender for beginners. Just a few more specific things. If this movement is too quick for you, well, you can just select a noob and then make the keyframe, and then take the keyframes away, uh, leave a bigger space between them. So now you can see that the movement is a lot slower, but that's just if you need to do a lot of things and you can't. For example, this, let me show you. If no, that's just no, just going to stay still until the 20 keyframes and then start changing his position. In the 30 keyframes I'm going to make him be the same. And here, well, basically now I did nothing. I just you could just copy paste the keyframes from one point to another, so that anything you do will happen, but then the noob will return to his initial position, this position, after the 30 keyframes. Now, what if I hadn't done that, and I did this and then decided that I wanted the noob to come back to his original position later on? Well, in that case, you go to 40 keyframes, for example, and then select this keyframe, copy and paste, and it happens. But some of you would think that it is quite simple. In actual fact, it is not. Well, if I do this and, for example, this and then this, these are just random moves. You don't need to observe anything, but okay. So what I did here has actually made the noob do some stuff, do whatever I have told him to do. But if I hadn't placed the keyframe that makes him go to return to his original position in the 30 or 40 keyframes, for example, and this happens, well, I can't just select the entire noob and okay, so if I want the noob to come back to his original position, I can just select the entire noob and then select the keyframe of the original position and just copy and then paste, because this happens. Well, at first when I saw this, I thought it was a bug. It might be, but anyway, if you want the noob to actually return to his original position here, you have to copy and then paste, but you have to copy and paste each of the noob's parts separately. Okay, so I select one part and then copy and paste, select the other one and then copy and paste, and the other one, copy paste. The timeline, well, Blender knows where to paste and when to paste, based on where your this blue line is, just so you know. Okay, so The basics of animation were these in Blender 2.9. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you can leave a comment to ask me anything you want. See you next time. Goodbye.